What's good, fam? Teacher Eddie back with another reaction. Breakdown by the Beast. Eastern versus Western philosophers. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, Eddie, you already did this one. Well, I did, but unfortunately it was removed from YouTube because apparently my account was compromised. So there were four ERBs that are no longer on YouTube. And I put up a poll on my YouTube channel, and this was the one you guys voted that I should redo first. This was by far, up to date at least, my most favorite ERB that I've done so far, because I'm really into philosophy, especially Western philosophy, which is something that I studied for 2 years with one of my favorite professors, who taught in China for 2 decades and then came over to the US and is still a professor at Harvard University. So this was an amazing battle. I remember a couple of lines here and there, but it's been long enough since I've done it that I don't really remember everything here. So I got the video set up. I got my dual monitor set up, so I'm going to be watching the reaction over here on monitor 2, and then when I'm making my comments, I'll turn over here. So without further ado, let's get started.
Rough battles of history. Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, and Confucius versus Nietzsche, Socrates, and Voltaire.
Yeah, so number one, these are the absolute perfect representations of Eastern and Western philosophy, because we got Socrates over here. Socrates, of course, the father of philosophy, the father of modern thought. Nietzsche, of course, the great German philosopher. And, of course, Voltaire, pimp daddy extraordinaire, enlightenment thinker. And then you got the three, top of the top, Mount Rushmores of Eastern philosophy: Confucius, Lao Tzu, and of course Sun Tzu. The oldest of the three being Lao Tzu, who was the figure in the face of Taoism. Confucius was actually a student of Lao Tzu, and very influential, of course, not only on Confucius, but Sun Tzu as well, who followed, because they sort of copied a lot of Lao Tzu's philosophies. For example, the Golden Rule, the Yin and the Yang, so on and so forth. But all 6 of these people could not be any, more further apart in the way they think and philosophize and everything else. And of course, my co-host in the back there, he's going to keep quiet for most of this one.
I'm coming off the Acropolis to start some pandemonium. Don't bring limp raps to a pimp slap symposium. The mad gadfly, philosophy was my invention. Rolling with the flyest nihilists. And me, their French henchman.
So let's break down some of these lines here.
Voltaire! I'm coming off the Acropolis to start some pandemonium.
So I'm coming off the Acropolis. So the Acropolis in Athens in ancient Greece is where Socrates did a lot of his teaching. A pandemonium is like disorder, basically, right? Like System of a Down. Disorder. And it's a word that originates from ancient Greek. So basically what Socrates is saying here, that he's going to be teaching, right, from his Acropolis, and he's about to start some pandemonium, right? And he says, don't bring your limp raps, a play on, being limp, to this pimp slap symposium. So a symposium can have 2 different meanings. A symposium, firstly, can be a conference, right? So it's a meeting where you would discuss, particular topics. There would be lectures and panels, which we do to this day, right? I've been a part of many different symposiums. And this way you can exchange ideas and learn about, you learn more about certain subjects. A symposium in ancient Greece, though, was more of like a drinking party, right? So motherfuckers would go there, they'd be gonna get mad drunk. So he's saying like, don't bring your weak raps here because you're about to get that pimp slap, son. You're about to get the backhand, right? The mad gadfly is a nickname that Socrates had, which was described by his student Plato, right? So Socrates did, of course, write many, many things, but unfortunately none of his writings actually survived. So everything we pretty much know about Socrates comes from his student Plato, right? Plato wrote the famous texts. So a gadfly is like an annoying person, right? Like gadflies are most associated with horses, right? And they really are an annoyance and a hindrance to the horses. So because Socrates was constantly questioning things in the Socratic method, of course, of pretty much knowledge is I know nothing, right? Socrates was very upfront with the fact that nobody knows everything and it's possible to know everything. So really, even though I know so much, I'm still ignorant of so many things.
Don't bring limp raps to a pimp slap symposium. The mad gadfly philosophy was my invention. Rolling with the flyest nihilist. And me, their French henchmen. We got the wisdom.
They're French henchmen. I love it. So Nietzsche, when he introduces himself, he's calling himself the flyest nihilist, right? So to be fly means like you're dope, you're cool, right? And nihilism is something that Nietzsche introduces. This was his philosophical belief. So in nihilism, which has been perverted a lot over the years, and really a lot of things that people associate with nihilism really aren't nihilistic ideologies. The biggest perversion of Nietzsche's nihilism, was really perverted a lot by the Nazi Party, right? The Third Reich. In fact, Nietzsche's own sister was a huge supporter of the Third Reich and the Nazi Party and appropriated a lot of Nietzsche's writings and works, while Nietzsche was, in all of his writings, was completely against the Nazi Party, completely against anti-Semitism. So that's basically nihilism in a nutshell, is that all basically religious and moral values really are baseless, and that nothing can really be known or communicated, and it's the drive of the person and self-discovery which is more important than the extrinsic, right? And of course, Voltaire comes in, like I said, pimp daddy extraordinaire, who was a French philosopher again during the Enlightenment period, and he's their henchman, and they're French henchmen.
And the wit that even I couldn't question. Dropping Western medicine on these East infections.
This is one of my favorite lines I remember. Yeah, on these East infections, which is also a play on yeast infections, right? So I missed the first part there.
To a pimp slap symposium. The mad gadfly philosophy was my invention.
Philosophy was my invention. So of course we already covered Socrates, or Socrates, is viewed as the father of modern thinking and philosophy.
Rolling with the flyest nihilist. And me, their French henchmen. We got the wisdom and the wit that even I couldn't question. Dropping Western medicine on these East infections.
That's great, man. So we got the wisdom and we've got the wit. So Socrates says that even I couldn't question. So Socrates, of course, is, best known with the Socratic method in teaching, for example, which is questioning everything with a question, right? Every time somebody asks you a question, you give them a question back. So Socrates made a habit of questioning pretty much everything, and especially the knowledge that people had. And that made him somebody who was really, again, a gadfly, an annoyance, right? So they're also saying the wit and the wisdom So Nietzsche, I guess, is the wisdom, whereas Voltaire is the wit. Because Voltaire was a very, very funny man, very loose. We'll get into, I remember the Benjamin Franklin references that come in later. But also dropping dropping Western medicine on these East infections. Such a great line.
You've never been our type of mental brethren. We're better thinkers, better speakers, better men. This type.
Of course, Voltaire would say they're better lovers, because who's a better lover than the French, right? The French always the language of love and all type of love, man. That's why Pepe Le Pew got canceled, man. So they're also saying it's evident that you've never seen our type of mental brethren, that, you know, the combined trio of them is mentally superior, right? Because they're better thinkers, better speakers, better lovers, and better men. But the Western philosophers, got something to say about that. And plus, I love the get-ups, man.
Of arrogance is sure to be expected from men who speak of wisdom with no clue of what respect is. You Westerners.
Yeah. So Confucius. So he's saying this type of arrogance is to be expected. And that's the way that a lot of, Westerners are viewed by Easterners. Not just, of course, in China or Japan or India, but most of the East. Europe, etc., they see Western thinkers as very arrogant, right? Because they're very boastful, and again, which they were in their speeches. But Confucius was always, saying that, a superior man is someone who is modest in their speech, in the way they speak of themselves. They speak of themselves in modesty. If you compliment them, a Confucian ideology is still very prevalent. So that's why, in speaking with a lot of Chinese people, like I have a lot of Chinese students in China that I teach, and they don't, every time you compliment them, they always respond in almost like we're not worthy of such a compliment, right? That's the Confucian thinking, that arrogance is something that is not a good trait to have. And saying that they have no clue what respect is, which again, in Confucianism is really, really important. Confucian, ideology speaks to having respect for the different orders, right, in society. Respect for your ruler, respect for your parents, right? Respect for your neighbors, so on and so forth. So you have to, for example, when your father would die, you would have to continue the tradition of respect by making offerings, bringing food, to their tomb, offering money, offering respect. So this was a big Confucian ideology.
Are sloppy, needing discipline in life. You lack control of yourselves and of the mic.
While we use precise
And now that was Lao Tzu, right? So Lao Tzu is associated with Taoism. Okay, I know there's a T in it, and a lot of people pronounce it as Taoism, but it's Taoism. Okay, so Taoism and Lao Tzu's philosophy was life requires a discipline, but not the way Confucius saw it, whereas discipline was having respect for the hierarchy, whereas Taoism is having respect and discipline for yourself, but more so for the flow of life. It's really almost like a Jedi way of thinking, right? And that there's an order and a balance to everything, which is the yin and the yang, right? But he's saying that the Westerners are sloppy and not following this type of lifestyle because they lack control of themselves. So again, in Taoism, for example, they did a lot of, and there was a huge emphasis on breathing exercises to control your mind, right? Which is something that, is akin to nowadays of meditation. So they would do a lot of these breathing exercises to be able to also control their bodies, to slow their heart rates, for example, to bring a sense of calm, to become one with your surroundings. And again, he's saying that they have none of this balance, so to speak, especially when they're rapping, because they also lack control of the mic, right? And now, of course, we got Sun Tzu coming in, who is my favorite in this entire rap battle. So let me just rewind real quick
You
here.
lack control of yourselves and of the mic.
While we use precise strikes to disrupt your concentration, and you an ass whipping our descendants will honor for generations. We build a
So again, see, which our descendants will honor for generations. Again, that's a Confucian way of thinking, that you have to have respect for your ancestors. And even if it means that you have to starve in order to bring food as a tribute to your ancestors' tombs, hey, that's just what you got to do, right? That's the way life is. And of course, Sun Tzu comes in with the precision strikes, because Sun Tzu is famous for writing The Art of War, one of the most influential generals in all of history, right? So Sun Tzu's philosophy talks a lot about precision being an important factor during war, right, as a tactic in battle. And then Confucius follows up, we're going to hand you an ass whooping that even your descendants will have to honor for generations, right? So your kids are going to have to be like, God damn, man, they straight up murked my ancestors, man. I'm going to have to make double the offerings.
nation
Patience.
and the present for living
You never hold a candle.
to the wisdom we've written.
Yeah, so they hold up their writings, right? So Lao Tzu, of course, wrote the Tao Te Ching. Sun Tzu, of course, wrote The Art of War. And Confucius wrote, many, many different great books. But of course, the most famous are the Confucian Analects, right? Let me see what they actually hold up here.
Hold a candle.
To the wisdom we've written.
Yeah, the Analects, right? So that's what I figured that he would hold up for his. But also Confucian wrote the Book of Documents, the Book of Rites, but the Annals are definitely the most famous writing of Confucius, and the Art of War for Sun Tzu, of course. But they're saying that everything they've written, whatever the Western guys got, it doesn't even hold a candle, which I gotta agree with, to be honest with you.
I'll give you something you can bow and kowtow to. And I squat down and squeeze out a Tao of Pooh and Lao Tzu.
Nietzsche is great too, man. I gotta say, man, I wouldn't be mad if people said, nah, man, I know you like Sun Tzu, but Nietzsche's really fucking good in this one. Now I'm starting to remember some of the lines that he has later on. So he's saying, I'll give you something that you bow and kowtow to. So kowtowing was a ritual performed in ancient China where, to show respect and deference, you would bow so low that your forehead would actually touch the ground, right? Kind of like that Kanye song. It's like, I'll make you bow so low that your knees hit your forehead, right? And he's saying, when I sit down and I squeeze out a Tao of Pooh. So it's a play on the Tao Te Ching. And there is a book called The Tao of Pooh with Winnie the Pooh. And he's just basically saying, I'm going to take a shit on everything you got and everything you've written.
You need to take control of the life you're giving. Call me Ubermensch, 'cause I'm so driven.
Yes, that's the line. I remember. Call me Ubermensch because I'm so driven. So again, Nietzsche is saying that you have to take control of the life you're given, right? So again, Nietzsche's ideology was based in the fact that the concept of free will and controlling your own life is one of the most important factors, right? Which is a huge contrast to Taoism, because Taoism, which translates to Tao, is the way, right? And the main concept of it is Wu Wei, which essentially is saying, give control to the way, give control to your surroundings, and letting life take its natural courses to achieve, a perfect nirvana, so to speak. even though that's a more Buddhist ideology, which comes later. But Nietzsche is basically saying that Lao Tzu's teachings are in fact bullshit because you are the one who controls your life. And then the Ubermensch, again, is another ideology of Nietzsche, right? So an Ubermensch, which is basically like extraordinary, right? Or like a superior man. So the concept was created by Nietzsche in his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is also Ric Flair's theme song. Shout out to the Nature Boy. So the Ubermensch is a person who is driven to seek meaning in their current life beyond, God and the government and everything else, which again is a complete 180 from Taoism, right? And of course, it's also a play on the company Uber, right? So call me Ubermensch because I'm so driven, right? And then here comes Voltaire.
Free thinker, so confronting conformists like you, it's my job. Got a sharp wit, like a spit, it'll skew you like a Confucius kebab. Oh, you flubbed the mission of beating your submissive ass into submission. Dishing out more disses and letters and pamphlets and plays have been published. Now that we've covered.
Yeah. You know what? Voltaire's pretty good, man. So Voltaire says he's a free thinker, which again, because Voltaire comes from the Enlightenment period. So during the Enlightenment period, it was viewed that free thinking was very important and using logic and reason rather than just basically do as you're told, right? Whether it's from a monarch or society, conformity, things of that nature, right? And he says, I got a sharp wit like a spit. So Voltaire, again, like I said, was a really, just a fun-loving type person. Very witty, very sharp. So he's not lying here. I mean, he's bragging on himself, but he's not lying. But he's saying his wit is so sharp that he's going to skewer Confucius like a Confucius kebab, right? So again, play on his name.
Sharp wit like a spit, it'll skew you like a Confucius kebab. Oh, you flubbed the mission of beating your submissive ass into submission.
Yeah, so I'm beating your submissive ass into submission. So again, he's making fun of the Confucian way of thinking, which is again being submissive, right? Being submissive to your ruler, being submissive to your ancestors, being submissive to your parents, being submissive to your neighbor, right? It's basically just all deference, right? So he's saying, I'm going to beat your submissive ass into submission.
Now more disses and letters and pamphlets and plays have been published.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. So unlike Socrates, for example, Voltaire's writings are voluminous and ubiquitous. He wrote something like 20,000 letters and over 2,000 books and pamphlets during his lifetime. So there is a lot of written works that are left over from Voltaire.
Over the two yin and yangs, I can move on to Jackie Chan. So I'll be picking apart your woo with my method, man.
Yes, this was my favorite line. I'll be picking apart. Wait, how does he say it?
I can move on to Jackie Chan. Sun Tzu, I'll be picking apart
Sun Tzu, I'll be picking apart your woo with my method, man. So last time when I did the video, I showed the Wu-Tang tattoo I have here, but I got the hoodie on, so I can't roll it up. But yeah, huge fan of Wu-Tang Clan. So that is a reference. I'm going to be picking apart your woo, right? So again, Wu Wei is the principle, right? The way. The Tao Te Ching is, the way of life, right? So I'm going to be picking apart your woo with my method, man, which is a reference to the Wu-Tang Clan. And of course, Method Man, METHOD, man. I'm going to be picking that shit apart because I got fat bags of skunk, I got white owl dubs, and I'm about to go and rap this battle. Anyway, also he made a reference to the Yin Yang twins. He's like, now that I'm done with the Yin Yang twins over here, let me holler at you for a second, player, right? Let me holler at you, Sun Tzu. So he refers to Confucius and Lao Tzu as the yin-yang twins. Of course, the yin and the yang is, a big, philosophy in Eastern philosophy. And Confucius, Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, they all use it. But of course, the Yin Yang Twins were a rap group back in the day. They had that whisper song. Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Tell you something that you might like to hear. Right? So, and then he compares him to Jackie Chan. So Jackie Chan is a badass, right? A badass fighter, but he is also known for a lot of comedy stuff. So he's kind of looking at Sun Tzu. He's like, yeah, I guess you can kick some ass, man. But, you mad funny, son, right? But again, I'll be picking apart your woo with my method, man. God, chef's kiss on that fucking line.
Method, man. The seminal general isn't so tough on the mic. All your men must be like you would have. You're pitiful lyrically, lucky for history. You didn't offer the art of rapping.
Yeah, so he's saying basically, your skills as a military general are, superb, of course, because you wrote The Art of War. But when it comes to rapping, not so much, like all your followers and all your soldiers are going to be like, man, what the fuck happened there, Sun Tzu, right? And he's saying his lyrics are pitiful, and luckily he didn't author The Art of Rapping, right? Which is, of course, a play on The Art of War.
Bitch, I wrote The Art of War, so you better get your...
He's got the best flow out of all of them, I gotta say, by far. His flow, like, I don't know homeboy's name, but his flow is fucking phenomenal. Let me just rewind.
For history, you didn't offer the art of rapping.
Bitch, I wrote The Art of...
Bitch, I wrote The Art of War. You know who he reminds me of, speaking of Wu-Tang Clan? He really reminds me of Raekwon, right? Raekwon the chef, son. He's serving them dishes up cold. Cold.
War, so you better get your guns.
Bitch, I wrote The Art of War, so you better get your guns out, right? So, of course, The Art of War is still one of the most influential books to this day, full of various tactics, which, of course, Sun Tzu at the time wrote to be used in war, right? But a lot of, for example, businessmen use it in deal making and all that. So it's such an influential book. But, a lot of people really use it for just basic life type stuff. So he's also saying you better bring your guns out, right? Because that's the only way you're going to beat us, right? You need to bring them guns. But even if you bring them guns, man, you getting murked, son. You getting bodied.
These white boys getting burned, cause guess what? Not a sun's out. Asian.
Ooh, oh, fuck. I forgot about this upcoming line. This line did not age well. Holy shit, I can't believe Oh, God.
Get your guns out. These white boys getting burned, cause
guess what? The sun's out, right? So that's a great also wordplay. ERB always brings it with the metaphors, the analogies, the word plays. But in this rap battle, like I said, to me, this is the best one they've done. It could be biased because I am so into Eastern philosophy, but just fucking, he's comparing his name, of course, Sun Tzu, and also the sun, because now I'm out and you white boys are getting burned, right? But then...
Guess what? Not a sun's out. Asian spitting sick, but no, this isn't...
Asian spitting sick. But no, this isn't SARS. So obviously this was pre-COVID, but god damn, man, that is such a sick, no pun intended, a sick line. But god damn, man, that didn't age well, man. Asian spitting sick, man.
Loud C, kick the beat, now Confucius drop some bars. Let me be candid with you, Voltaire.
Oh shit, I don't remember this.
See, kick the beat, now Confucius drop some.
Oh, and I like how he said he dropped some beatbox. He's like, meow.
Let me be candid with you, Voltaire.
Let me be candid with you. Oh shit, I don't even remember this one. Holy fuck. So, wow. Like I said, man, the wordplay here is just fucking amazing. So it's a play on saying, well, let me be candid with you, right? So when you're telling someone you're going to be candid with them, it's like, man, you know what? Let me be honest with you here, player. Let me drop the real here. But the Candide is actually a novel written by Voltaire. That is so good, man. I don't remember this part.
French drip with the egg noodle hair.
French drip with the egg noodle hair. And look at Voltaire's like, how dare you, bitch? How dare you? French drip. So that refers to, I mean, I've read this so many times, but I don't know how a human being can possibly do this. So one of the things Voltaire was known for was he loved coffee. Like, I love my coffee, but this motherfucker loved his coffee. So I have read that he drank anywhere from like 50 to 75 cups of coffee a day. I don't know how true that is. It's not something I've delved very deep into, but I just don't, unless that French coffee was weak as fuck. But 50 to 75 cups a day, that is some crazy ass shit. And of course, French drip is also a traditional way of making coffee in a drip pot. I actually have one of those French drips, and you know what? It does make some good fucking coffee. And then, of course, he's calling his hair like egg noodles. Like, goddamn, I love the fact that Voltaire's like, bitch, how dare you, man? You know how long it took me to get this look?
Ego's just so distracting. Free speech doesn't mean just keep yapping. And you killed God, so I gotta ask. Did he die your shame when he made your mustache?
Aw, man, he's going after all that shit, man. He's going after Voltaire's hair. He's going after Nietzsche's badass, man. That is some shit where Tom Selleck could be like, man, that's a badass mustache over there, man. So, free speech, of course, when he's talking to Voltaire, because Voltaire was a proponent, like I said, of free speech during the Enlightenment era. God is dead is something that, you know, if you know nothing about Nietzsche's writings, philosophies, or anything else, the quote, God is dead, is something that pretty much everybody knows. The full quote is, God is dead and man killed him, right? So it wasn't that, you know, literally he was saying God or religion was dead, but that man, and when we say man, of course, we're talking about humankind as a whole, killed God, right? But he's saying, man, I know God is dead, and you killed him, but did he die of shame because he created that mustache?
You try to plant a new German psyche, but you just grew hate me, no third right.
Ooh, fuck. No, oh, God, I forgot about that line, too. That was a little, eh.
You're saying when he made your mustache, you try to plant a new German psyche, but you just...
You tried to plant a new German psyche, but you just grew hate. I'll save the next line for a minute, right? So as I mentioned before, a lot of Nietzsche's writings were perverted, much like the Nazis perverted a lot of things. We talk a lot about the Nazis perverting the swastika itself, which was an ancient symbol of peace, which is still used to this day in a lot of Eastern cultures, as a sign and a symbol of what it has always meant, which is peace. Unfortunately, especially in Western society, you see a swastika, you're automatically going to associate it, for the most part, with the Nazi race, right? So it's not true that Nietzsche grew hate. It's just his, philosophy was taken and then perverted. And then he said, me no Third Reichy. So, of course, Third Reich, Nazis, but then it's also a play on the stereotype of how Chinese, pronounce certain words because they often don't pronounce the L properly. So instead of saying me no, plus the phrase me no likey, It's fucked up, man. That's really, I'm trying to like tiptoe around this shit so I don't piss everyone off. It's fucked up, okay? Me no likey, right? Or me no rikey. It's a stereotypical racist ass thing, man. It's just what I'm saying. I know a lot of people are like, well, it's not racist. It's really true, you know. No, but saying it in the way of, he's not saying I don't rikey. He's saying me no rikey. It's fucked up, man. You know, stop defending like racist shit, man.
And it all starts with you. You're the father, Socrates. Honestly, I think you owe both of your students here an apology.
I wouldn't exactly call myself a student of this plea. Don't make Nietzsche come over and put a knee up in your tree.
So Nietzsche's triggered right now. So they went after Voltaire first, and then Nietzsche, and now they're like, you're the father, Socrates, because again, Socrates is the father of philosophy and thinking and everything else, right?
Honestly, I think you owe both of your students here an apology.
So he's saying, yeah, you're the father of this whole thing, but honestly, you deserve, you know, they deserve an apology, these students. But then Nietzsche gets triggered, because he says,
I wouldn't exactly call myself
a student of this plebe, right? So a plebe or a plebeian, it's basically the way the Greeks referred to, you know, the lower class, so to speak. So Nietzsche refers to Socrates as a low-class person. And in fact, if you know anything about Nietzsche, he really was not a fan of Socrates at all, in all honesty. And this could be also why in the video he's so offended, right? That Sun Tzu would refer to him as Socrates' student. Because, again, Nietzsche's theories were about the Ubermensch, right? The superior man, so to speak. Forging your own, you know, way in life. You make things happen. You are in charge, right? So saying that he's a student of someone else's goes against his own philosophy, because it's saying, well, I'm not creating my own path. I'm just following the path of a teacher who's, giving me all these ideas and, everything else.
Don't make Nietzsche come over and put a knee up in your tree.
Don't make Nietzsche come over there and put a knee up in your chi. So your chi is kind of like your life force, right? Or flow, which again for Lao Tzu is a big deal, right? That's the whole Taoist philosophy there. But also saying, I'm put a knee up in that chi. Kind of like in that Superman Goku thing when Superman was like, I'm gonna fuck your wife. Gonna be all up in that chi, son. Yeah. And knee and chi, of course, Nietzsche. I'm gonna put a knee up in your chi. I just realized that, by the way. Oh, and this was great. That was like a whole throwaway. I was like, yeah, knee up in your... Wait, Nietzsche. Oh, shit. This was great, though, when he spells his name out. I think that was his best line. I'll end any motherfucker like my name in a spelling bee. And then after he spells his name out, like Snoop Dogg in Nothing But a G Thing, you know, when he spelled his name out, he was like, it's the capital S-O-E-S and fresh and double O-P, D-O-double-G-Y-D-O-double-G, you see? You know, he laid that shit down, man. He's like, man, maybe you forgot my name. Let me spell that shit out for you, man. And I'll end any motherfucker like my name in a spelling bee, man. Try to spell my name in a spelling bee, see what happens. Plebe bitch.
Like a hemlock sip. Hang a sandal on the door, cause you can suck dick.
I forgot about that. Plebe bitch. So it's like please, bitch. Who you think you talking to, son? I'm toxic like a hemlock sip. That is such a great line, man. So hemlock is what Socrates drinks during his execution, right? And he was killed with just a sip. So I like how specific they are. They didn't say I'm toxic like hemlock, right? I'm toxic like a hemlock sip. Because famously in Plato's work, he said he died with just a sip, right? So hemlock was what was used to execute Socrates.
Toxic like a hemlock sip. Hang a sandal on the door, cause you can suck.
I love that. Hang a sandal on the door because you could suck Sock's dick. So that's, I don't know if people still do this. I know when I was in college, we would. You would put a sock on the door or something, you know, whatever, to signify to your roommate if you were sharing a room. Like, yo, man, don't come a knocking because I'm all up in these guts, son, right? Unless you want to see me like balls deep, don't open the door, right? But of course, during Socrates' time, they wore sandals, right? They didn't have socks and shoes and shit. So he said, hang a sandal on the door because you could suck Sock's dick. So of course, it's also a play on the sock, right? Man, I mean, these lines are so fucking deep. Much like you would be when you gotta hang that sock on the door, man. Deep.
Socrates, you're making things a little tense. Come, let's blind these Chinese heinies with some shiny, bright enlightenment.
Man, look at Nietzsche, man.
Tense. Come, let's blind these Chinese.
Look how angry Nietzsche looks, man. He kind of looks like Bill Hader though, with a mustache right now. So let's blind these Chinese heinies. And notice, is that Sun Tzu in the background there with the binoculars, like peeping that shit out, right? Because this is great. What they basically done is they've turned them all against each other here, right? Which is, another tactic of Sun Tzu's in The Art of War. And I love the fact, I don't think I noticed that the first time I watched it, but Sun Tzu like creeping out with the binoculars over there. But basically Nietzsche is like, he starts off with the sacre bleu, which I don't think French people actually say sacre bleu. Yeah, he's like, come on, man. Let's blind these Chinese heinies. So, that's, again, a play on enlightenment, right? To enlighten, and the Enlightenment period, Enlightenment thinking, but also enlightening to blind these Chinese heinies.
With some shiny, bright enlightenment. I'll not be taught camaraderie from a frog who rigged the lottery.
Yes, I forgot about that one as well. So, like I said, Voltaire was very sharp, very witty, but also could be very conniving. So he came up with this scheme with the lottery, right? So what's the way you guarantee you're going to win the lottery? Well, buy all the tickets, right? So Voltaire, during a lottery, he organized a group of people to buy up every single lottery ticket, that was available. And they made a killing, right? Even though they had to pay to get the tickets, the money they actually won was significantly larger than whatever they had to spend. And of course, frog is a derogatory term for a French person. So basically, Socrates is saying that someone who cheated the lottery, don't try to teach me about ethics, right?
Make a mockery of ethics, so keep your fat nose in your coffee. Let me be frank.
Yeah, so keep your fat nose in your coffee. So Voltaire was actually known for having a pretty voluptuous nose, but again, the coffee addiction, 50 to 75 cups a day, I still don't buy it.
Don't start beef with B. Frank, who hangs with B. Franks, giving ladies B. Franks. I have turned them on.
Yes, that was a great. This is one of my other. There's just so many great lines.
So keep your fat nose in your coffee. Let me be frank.
Let me be frank, right? So Voltaire's first name was actually Francois, which again, Frank, right? But Frank also refers to Frenchman, and he's saying, "Let me be frank."
Don't start
beef with the Frank, right? So he's saying like he's the ultimate Frenchman. And don't start beef with me, right? To have beef with someone means like you got problems, you got squabbles with somebody, right?
Be frank, who hangs with B.
who hangs with B. Franks. So when Benjamin Franklin was in France as a dignitary, so to speak, because Benjamin Franklin goes over to France because, number one, he was probably the most respected, especially in France, of all the founding fathers, including Washington himself. But Washington couldn't go because obviously he was leading the Continental Army at the time. And Franklin was key in getting France's support for the Americas, because without France, again, most likely America doesn't win the Revolutionary War. But when they did hang out, because Benjamin Franklin and Voltaire were basically like twinsies, man. Like that, well, more like this, really. Because both of them love to fuck a lot, right? So he hangs out with B. Franks.
B. Franks giving ladies.
And they gave the ladies all the beef franks. And again, beef franks don't have beef with the Frank. This is so fucking good, man. Just so, like, this is the type of stuff that makes you jealous, that you're like, God damn, I thought I was creative and shit, but fuck, this is so good.
B. Franks.
I have turned them on themselves. Their chaos is our opportunity.
You must remember, a bowl is most useful when it is empty.
Lao Tzu, I don't mean no disrespect, but you need to fill your bowl with some shit that makes some sense.
Yeah, so so like I mentioned before, Sun Tzu basically caused chaos, because one of the most famous quotes from the Art of War is, in the midst of chaos, there's always opportunities, right? So while they're arguing, like, this is our opportunity to strike, right? And then Lao Tzu comes in with the a bowl is most useful when it's empty. So this is something that Lao Tzu actually writes about in the Tao Te Ching. It's kind of that, Eastern philosophy. He says, take the clay to form a bowl, and the empty space in the bowl is what actually makes the bowl useful. So the bowl is most useful when it's empty. Not if your ass is hungry, though, right? And Sun Tzu's questioning that and kind of saying, look, man, I don't mean no disrespect. And when somebody says, yo, no disrespect, they're about to say some disrespectful ass shit, right? That's like when somebody says, look, I'm not racist or anything. Motherfucker, you about to say some racist ass shit, right? So he's saying no disrespect, but fill your bowl with, some shit that makes sense, right? And also kind of a play on bullshit, bowl shit, right? Fill that bowl with something.
Oh, you don't want to stand in the path of Lao Tzu today. I'll make you move, bitch. Get out the way.
I love all the rap references in this one, man, because I am such a hip-hop head, man, going back to the days of like Curtis Blow and the Breaks, son, and the Bronx and the Boogie Down, man. So let me rewind this. You don't want to, so he says, wait, what does he say
but
first?
You need to fill your bowl with some shit that makes some sense. Oh, you don't want to stand in the path of Lao.
Okay, so you don't want to stand in the path of Lao Tzu today. So again, Lao Tzu is, firstly saying, yo, man, don't be shitting on my philosophy first and foremost, right? But the Tao is also referred to as the way, or sometimes the path, right? So he's saying, you don't want to get in my way, you don't want to get in my path, which is a play on the Tao Te Ching, right? Tao can also, depending on the context, mean road in Chinese, right? So he's saying, man, you don't want to get in my way because I'll make you move.
Today I'll make you move, bitch.
He's got that ludicrous shit, right? Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way.
Get out the way. Yeah, we're in the...
Oh, and get out the way, right? Because again, a reference to the way, right? The Tao Te Ching. So move, bitch, get out the way. And of course, get out the way, meaning his own philosophy.
Tradition of rap battles, is it written that two dudes on a same team should squabble like some clucking chickens. Man, Confucius, you always trying to put something in its place. What?
That's true. Confucius, like I said, Confucianism was big on, proper placement. So another Confucian ideology is basically, whatever station you are in life, that's where you need to be. So he didn't believe in upward mobility, right? That, a farmer, for example, can become a teacher or a thinker, or somebody who is a thinker could, or should aspire to something higher. He basically wrote, like, if you're a farmer, be a farmer. If you're a thinker, be a thinker, right? Don't try to be anything else, right? Because he was all about the order of things. And again, the deference and respect to, the different pillars of society, so to speak.
Don't you tell your eyebrows they need to feel better on your face? Okay.
Yeah, most drawings of Confucius do show him with the crazy eyebrows, and then it became kind of a trope in Eastern martial arts movies as well, where the wise teacher always had the crazy eyebrows, right? Even like in Kill Bill, right?
Hey, I see you wanna make it like that. I'll smack that warmongering head out of your to-go box.
Man, he called his hairstyle looking like a to-go box from a Chinese restaurant, son.
So here's the real golden rule.
I forgot about the golden rule, right? So the golden rule is something that both Confucius, Lao Tzu, and Sun Tzu have, right? So Confucius's golden rule is probably one of the most famous quotes of all time, which is, do unto others as you would like others to do unto you, right? Paraphrasing, of course. So basically, he's saying, the golden rule is, man, you shouldn't be dissing me, because now I'm going to have to diss you back, right? So Confucius and Lao Tzu had their own golden rules in their philosophies. And as I mentioned, Confucius was a student of Lao Tzu as well. I'm way above you weak rookies.
Way above you weak rookies. Confucius say you can all hold these fortune cookies.
Confucius say you can hold these fortune cookies. So number one, huge misconception is that fortune cookies are a Chinese thing. Yes, they serve fortune cookies in Chinese restaurants, but fortune cookies were actually created in Japan, not China. So just a little whatever trivial knowledge there. But Confucius says became like a huge trope, kind of like memes, I guess. Because even when I was a kid, you had jokes like Confucius say, like the first line would be something, that sounds philosophical, and the second line is usually something dumb as fuck. Like my favorite one is Confucius say, he who masturbates into cash register will come into money. Yeah. So Confucius say, y'all can hold these fortune cookies, meaning hold on to these nuts, son. And yeah, and this was one of my favorite things. Instead of asking who won, who's next, they say, what is winning? Who is winning? And literally, who is next? Right? I love, these little touches make these so fucking brilliant, man. They should have left out the "you decide" part. Well, then again, that is a Nietzsche a Nietzsche way of thinking, right? You decide, right? Because again, you're the Ubermensch, right? So fucking good, man. God damn. Timothy Delaghetto. I'm not even pronouncing that. MC Jin. Yo, MC Jin, son, get down. Nice Peter. Zach Sherwin. Epic. I didn't even realize that was Epic Lloyd as Socrates, man. God damn, that was so good. All right, so now I can. All right, I'm still getting used to these dual monitors, man. But either case, man, what'd you think of that shit, son? Come on, man. Man, what you mean? What you mean? That shit was brilliant, man. Whatever, man. I don't know what you're talking about, you goddamn Wookie. But I love this one. I'm going to redo the other ones. I don't remember. I think the other three that are missing, it was Hitler versus Vader, all three parts I did in one video. The only thing that sucks about that one is I did it with my mom, and there's no way she's going to do that again. She's like, Edward, please, no way. I'm defending Hitler again. It goes against my Jewish traditions. In Jewish tradition, you only defend Hitler one time. Cleopatra versus Marilyn Monroe, and then there was a third one. I don't remember what the third one was, but either case, man, thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for the love. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and of course, leave that thumbs up. Drop a comment for the algorithm, and gonna shout out the Patreons as always. Check out the links in the description. Also, the links over there. For my Patreon, Discord, all that good stuff. I've been Teacher Eddie, and I'll catch you next time. Fam! And a big thank you to all of Teacher Eddie's Patreons. Shouting them out, starting with the top tier chancellors: Elena G, Alex S, Cuckles, John Alonzo, Naval Colt, and the Hollow King. The principal tier: Aaron Shepard, Addison Lynn, Blue Tech, Chad A, Chris H, Chrissy, Clement, Freeman Stephenson, Joshua Stewart, Laura, Lord Gandalf, Murika Gatti, Nathan M, Quiet J, Rachel H, Robin, Robin B, and Vidjandra. I've been Teacher Eddie, and I'll catch you next time.